The fear of success, for me, it looked like if I go higher, if I go any higher in my finances, in my business, in my influence and impact, will my marriage survive this level?
I'm Patrice Washington, and this is the Redefining Wealth podcast, where authenticity leads to alignment and abundance. Join us each week as we peel back the layers on what wealth truly means and dive into conversations that inspire, connect, and empower you to live your richest life. Get ready to challenge the status quo. It's time to redefine wealth for yourself. You're listening to the Redefining Wealth podcast with Patrice Washington. This is the space that you come to each and every week to learn more about what it means to chase purpose, not money. Around here, we don't define wealth just by money and material possessions. We use the original 12th century definition of wealth, which says it's all about the condition of well-being and happiness. And I'm really excited about this conversation in particular. It's about the fear of success. I think oftentimes we have a fear of what happens if we don't make it, if we don't achieve the vision, if we don't hit the mark, if we don't reach whatever we have deemed as success. But we don't talk about the fear associated with actually getting it. And I know this from my coaching clients already, that many people sabotage their own success because they're afraid of what having these new labels, these new identities, this new perspective could do in their families, in their marriages, in their relationships. And so they fear that and cause their own chaos. And there's a brilliant woman I've been connected to on Facebook for some time now. And every time she posts, I feel it in my belly. I'm like, ooh, yes, that's good. And I've been wanting to invite her on the podcast, and finally the stars aligned, and I'm so excited. This conversation was so good, you guys. I had to break it into two parts. This first one is about the fear of success, but the next one will be more about relationships, and I can't wait for you to hear both. So let me tell you about Dr. Shamieka Dean. She is the catalyst to catalyst, aiding in both personal and professional growth for industry experts and top execs. As a transformation coach, business strategist, and spiritual advisor to high-achieving women, she catalyzes the growth of her clients through speaking, training, and consulting. She has a gift for identifying the internal roadblocks, allowing her to provide strategic insight to align her clients to go farther, faster. What I love about Dr. Dean is she's most known for challenging norms and creating new paradigms by revolutionizing how women achieve success. Aren't you glad she's here? Her signature Rest is the New Revenue methodology offers a unique approach to achieving unprecedented success without sacrificing yourself, your seed, your sanity, or your spouse. Let's get into it. After the affirmation of the week, what you'll hear next is my conversation with the Dr. Shamieka Dean. This week's affirmation is, success is my birthright. I am fully ready to embrace success without fear or hesitation. I release any doubts or insecurities that have held me back, knowing that I am worthy of all the success and abundance coming my way. Success is my birthright, and I welcome it with open arms, trusting in my ability to handle every blessing with grace and wisdom. I let go of the fear of outgrowing others or stepping into new levels because I recognize that my success is meant to inspire and elevate. Each day, I move forward with confidence, knowing that I am prepared and deserving of all the greatness that awaits me. Declare with me today, success is my birthright. Welcome to the Redefining Wealth podcast, Dr. Shameika.
Thank you. I am so excited to be here today. Oh my God.
Let me tell you something. You are not more excited than me. I am so excited for this conversation because I don't know when we technically became Facebook friends, but I can tell you that in the last few months, the Lord, the algorithms, the something, you have been slapping us in the face, those of us who are connected to you on Facebook. I don't know if you do it on LinkedIn or Instagram or anywhere else, but I can say, bringing my tail back to Facebook, which I've been kind of disconnected from on and off for years, you are one of my favorite people to hear from. I'm so grateful. You're one of those people when you're scrolling, you just know this person. I don't care if it looks like 6 paragraphs. I will sit there and read it because I know that there's a word in it, and especially a word for women like me. So women who have been believers their whole lives or were raised in some type of religious practice, in my case, Christianity, and who were raised to be good girls and who are in this desire for more alignment, beginning to, and have been in a process and a journey of just rejecting the way things have always been, rejecting status quo. And you give language to it so beautifully that you guys literally, I don't even know what day, what time it was. I said, if she say another thing, I just dropped in her DMs and sent her the podcast booking link. I said, ma'am, enough is enough. You are wearing me out in these Facebook posts. So I have been looking forward to this because I know that we need it. And I know that God has delivered just a way of being in you. You speak with such authority and such a quiet confidence. It's like you're loud, but you're quiet at the same time, if that makes sense. Like the messages are loud, but you are just operating. I don't know. It feels like such a level of obedience. So I'll stop talking. That's me rambling because I genuinely am excited for you to be here. And again, thank you for being here.
You are welcome. I'm excited. You have no idea. I've been anticipating this since we had that conversation in the inbox. I made sure my schedule was clear today. Okay. Because I've been waiting on this moment. So I'm just ready, for however the chips may fall today. I am excited.
I love it. I love it. And how did we actually connect? I feel like I've met you in person, right? I met you in person, like in the last year.
Yeah. So I knew of you for years, for probably close to a decade. And I remember when I first came across you, I said, she has something. She has something different. She has something powerful. So I immediately resonated with, I didn't know that you were, came from the Christian community initially. I just simply knew that there was a power that exuded from you that was bigger than just the brand, if that makes sense. Like I saw the brand, but I knew that there was a power that exuded from you that the world hadn't yet experienced. So I'm just excited about that. That's what I felt when I first saw you. I was like, yeah, she has it, right? She has that. And then I met you at Move to Millions. Well, actually, we didn't get a chance to meet. I saw you at Move to Millions at Darnielle's event. And when it was time for me to reach out or to approach you, I don't remember what happened, but I didn't get a chance to actually talk to you. And so I knew that we would connect. I didn't know when, I didn't know how. And I was sitting at home and literally I was scrolling through social media and your name came to mind. And I said, I'm going to send her a friend request. Either she's going to accept it or she's not. Literally, that's what I said. So when you commented on my post the one day, I didn't even know that we were Facebook friends. I didn't know that you had accepted the friend request. And so when you commented, I was like, okay, God, all right. And the day we actually had a conversation, we were inboxing each other at the exact same time.
At the same time.
At the exact same time. And that's how it happened. Yes.
Oh, I just remembered that. It was, you were sending me something and I was typing saying, hey, you need to be on the podcast. This is too much now. Okay.
Yes.
Wow, girl. I love it. I love it. Well, as we prayed before we started recording, for such a time as this, God already knows. And I'm sure there's more to come after this episode. But one of the things that I love about what you post and how you post is one, just it feels so completely authentic. you embody such a realness, but also that I just want to help you be radically honest about where you are and what's going on in your life, especially for women leaders, whether you're an entrepreneur or not, just as a woman leader. So have you always been this outspoken?
No. Well, I'll say this. I've always been this outspoken. My mom used to always say that I was bullheaded, is what she called me. I was bullheaded. I was stubborn. And what she didn't know at that time was she was raising a leader. She was raising someone who needed to be a voice for other people. And so I had to learn how to be a voice for myself first, even as a child. So I was always outspoken. However, there was also a part of my life where I learned how to perfect the posture of pretend.
Here we go. I told y'all, here we go. Go ahead.
And two communities I always say that teach us as women, especially how to perfect the posture of pretend, is Christianity and corporate. And I was a part of both of those. Come from a corporate background and also being raised, in the Christian community. So I learned very early on how to perfect the posture of pretend, which means I learned how to say the things that were politically correct. I learned how to be more palatable so that I didn't offend people. And I learned how to do all of the things. But what that taught me was how to mute and minimize who I was actually called to be in the world. So I went through my own journey, my experience of becoming her, which is about healing, embodiment, and revealing. So healing the parts of myself that the world and my experiences and people I trusted that told me that that wasn't good enough and that I needed to be another version of myself to be accepted in the world. And then embodying the authentic version of myself that meant I showed up as who I was, regardless of who may have been offended by it or who may have thought that I needed to be someone else. And then now at this particular point in my life, or for, I would say maybe the last 7 years, I'll just say that, revealing that to the world. And so I wasn't always bold enough to be me. I wasn't always courageous enough to be who I was. But when I tell you, when she showed up on the scene and she realized that who she was always enough, will always be enough, and has always been enough. It's just, I show up in that way in every capacity in my life now. And that's really what I want to empower women to do, is to get rid of all of the things that have told you that who you are is not enough, because it is. And you always have been. So yeah. All right. Now I'm going to stop. I'm going to let you go.
I identify with this so much, perfecting the posture of pretend. Earlier this year on the podcast, we talked about giving voice to truth. And something that I have known my whole life is that I have a powerful voice, but I knew how to make it politically correct and palatable for different environments. And I've never been in corporate America. I've only been an entrepreneur, but even in entrepreneurship, you very quickly learn, and you were told, well, you don't want to do this because you don't want to offend, and you don't want to say this. And I remember speaking engagements where when I would go, there was one time in particular, I had 2 gigs in the same space that day. And I used God-given as a reference. And I used something else about my faith. And I talked about Proverbs 17:16. And they said, oh, you were so good. Oh, everybody loved you. But in the next one, if you could just not, and that was at the kind of the beginning of my career, really, in this iteration. So like 10 years ago. And I remember just feeling like, kind of like I did in childhood, like, you just need to say the things that we gonna applaud for. And then outside of that, keep all that other stuff separate. What was the awakening? For me, I knew in that moment, I was like, well, if this is who I have to be in order to get along, I don't know if this is for me. So it kind of made me question for a moment, like, is this what I really should be doing? If you're a woman, executive, entrepreneur, or visionary, then this is for you. Are you ready to bring your success full circle? The doors to mastery and momentum are open. This is an exclusive 9-month mastermind for accomplished women who are ready to dream a new dream and step into their next level of purpose. That means, yes, you've already had life and/or professional wins, but you're tired of outdated accolades that feel meaningless to you in this season. You want to grow in your thought leadership and introduce the world to the new you, the more aligned you. But you still need guidance in not just knowing what's next, but owning what has to go for you to have it. So whether that's finally writing a book, launching that podcast, hitting that next 6 or 7-figure business milestone, maybe it's leading an initiative in your corporate career, securing that raiser promotion, or planning that exit strategy you've been talking about for a while, Mastery and Momentum is designed to help you create the most powerful, purposeful, and aligned thought leadership of your life. This is a no excuses, just execution space where your purpose can evolve and your next level vision can be birthed. Through live coaching, structured accountability, and proven practical exercises and tools, you'll embrace what I call the principles of abbreviated acceleration to elevate your mindset and action so that you can lead with confidence, conviction, authenticity, and massive impact. This is a selective safe space where success is not optional, it is inevitable. If you're ready to drive transformative change within your personal and professional life, head to masteryandmomentum.com to apply now. That's masteryandmomentum.com. Let's make this your most powerful, aligned, authentic season yet. For you, what was the awakening 7 odd years ago that made you really start to heal and embody and reveal all of who you are now?
There are so many different iterations, I believe, that kind of continued the journey, right? So one of the very first instances that come to mind is when my husband and I went through a divorce. That was in 2012. So that was a little bit longer than 7 years ago, but it was in 2012. And that year, I was pretty much stripped of all of the things that made me me, if you will. I went through a divorce, lost my job. There were family members. There were things going on in my family. And so I had that moment afterwards where I realized that outside of my job, outside of my husband and being a mother, I had no idea who I was, right? It started with me trying to kind of discovering who am I, outside of being a mom, a wife, career woman and all of these things. So it started there. But I think the most pivotal moment for me would be I was on YouTube and I'd blown up on YouTube in 6 months. I mean, I posted a video and things took off. I mean, like 36,000 subscribers, 6 months, no ads, no affiliations, nothing, just blew up. And I remember as I was on this journey and I'm going live and I'm teaching, and I remember there were things that I just didn't want to talk about. There were certain things that I really wanted to share. And then there were things that I just didn't want to talk about. However, the audience was only responding to this one thing, but it wasn't what I really wanted to do. And I remember it was on my birthday, I was crying, full face of tears. And I said in this live, I got on this live afterwards and I said, I will not lose me trying to hold on to y'all. That was the moment. That was the moment. And it was that moment I walked away from a growing platform that was making me really good money and all of these raving people that loved all of the things. And I said, I can't lose me trying to hold on to y'all. There was a part of me that was fading away, if you will, because I was so busy trying to feed the people what they wanted, but I was not living in the truth of what I believed I was actually called to do and what I wanted to share with the world. And that was that turning point for me, that I decided whoever walks away and whoever decides to stay, I am okay with it because I can't lose me trying to hold on to y'all.
Girl, I call that not being a prisoner to purpose because, purpose evolves. And many times I find in my own experience, but also with clients, that our purpose will evolve, but we are so attached to the popularity we had for a past season. And we want to please those people and feed that beast instead of feeding our soul that is screaming out for us to do something different. Like, it's time. It is time to move on. It is time to accept that a season is up. It is time to be radically honest and deeply authentic about what you literally feel called to express in the marketplace. And we're like, but this is what they want. And I've had that. I've had dips in the podcast. I mean, we're celebrating 20 million downloads over 7 years, but thank you. But when my position has shifted on something, or when I announced my separation and divorce, I literally had people, in 2022 telling me that I should be ashamed of myself. And I'm like, what do you mean? What are you even talking about?
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm. I have people that, because I say that my concept of God has expanded, and really, I love everybody. And I've always been someone who loves everybody. And I've never been someone who tries to condemn people for whatever they got going on. I just have never felt like it was my business. I'm here to literally be an example of love, right? For everybody. I have people that will say, oh, you need to do this or you need to do that. No, if God called you to do that, go on ahead, because that's authentic to you. I'm not running from anything I'm called to do. This is how I feel called to express how I experience God. And that is that I do love everybody. And so it has been so freeing in these latter years to break out of the prison of, because I felt purpose to serve certain sectors of people. Because really, most of us, especially in entrepreneurship, you go with what feels most familiar and comfortable when you start, but that's an invitation to expand. That's just to get your feet wet. That's to build your voice. That's to figure out who you are. But you have to allow yourself to really expand and evolve, or what was supposed to be a blessing feels like a burden. It feels like it just doesn't feel good.
Right. And that's because most of the times we actually live in the prison of perception of people. When we start making moves, instead of us checking in with God first, with ourselves second, we check in with the responses of people. We look to see how they may respond. Even when we are building our businesses and careers, a lot of people talk about the fear of failure. But the reality is, most high achieving women are challenged with the fear of success. And it's because of who and what that next level of success will cost you. And that's why we'll get caught up in this prison of people's perception, because we're not really concerned in that moment, oftentimes, about if we're really doing the will of God, right? Or we're really doing what is aligned with us and where we are in this season of our lives. We start thinking about what people are going to think, what people are going to say. And that's when we keep ourselves in that prison and we paralyze our progress. Because of that, we paralyze it. And we think about the people that we have, but most of us don't think about the people that are waiting for us to step into that next level. The people that are in prison because we are not fully walking in what we're called to do right now. And that's the thing that we have to get free from, is really the prison of people's perception. Because the reality is, if we didn't think people were going to view us or perceive us differently, we would immediately obey.
Woo!
We would immediately obey, right? We would just go and do the thing. But when we are still in that place where their opinions matter more than our obedience, we will hold ourselves hostage to a place that we should have moved on from a long time ago. Whether it's the business or the marriage or the ministry, any of those things, we will literally hold ourselves hostage to that because we are more concerned about the opinions of people than the obedience, when obedience truly is better than sacrifice, because it's the obedience that opens the door for the overflow. So when we get in those spaces, we have to ask ourselves, why does whoever, I ask my clients a lot of time, I say, who are they and why do you care? Like, think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who are they and why do you care? Right. So to ask ourselves that question. And the deeper question is not just what they are going to say, but the deeper level of perception is how I really see myself. Because do I truly see myself as the person, the woman who can actually handle this next level of success? Do I truly see myself as the person or the woman who has the skills, the know-how, right, to operate at this next level of success that is already been predestined for me?
Mm-hmm. When you talk about that fear of success and what it will cost you, in our community, one of the questions that I ask of myself all the time, but also to my clients is, what are you willing to lose? Not that you want to lose, but what are you willing to lose? And for me, it has allowed me to be radically honest with myself about what I want, what's not working, who's not working, what could be a possibility for me if I just told the truth and stopped trying to romanticize a situation. And that question has freed me in so many ways. Because when you talk about, being a hostage, the visual that I instantly got as you were speaking is being a hostage to a process, an environment, some belief, a job, whatever. And literally the door 4 feet away from you being wide open with no gate, no barrier, no armed guard, but you are sitting there allowing yourself to be held hostage.
Yes. Self-imposed imprisonment. And we do it all of the time.
So what does fear of success actually look like? I think people may be very familiar with fear of failure, but when you say fear of success and what it'll cost you, give us an example of what you were afraid or a time you were afraid and you thought your success was going to cost you something.
So the fear of success, for me, it looked like if I go higher, if I go any higher in my finances, in my business, in my influence and impact, will my marriage survive this level?
Well, we could just sit right there. Because, the face that I made, baby. Hey, podcast family, big news. I've just launched a game-changing app designed exclusively for you. It is officially the Redefining Wealth app with Patrice Washington. Now, all of my courses, coaching, live streams, and most importantly, my community are just a tap away, all under one roof. You can download the app now for seamless access to exclusive content and a vibrant community of purpose chasers from all over the world. This is the ultimate hub for all things Patrice Washington and all things redefining wealth. You can search for it in your app store or find the link at redefiningwealth.app. That's redefiningwealth.app. Do not miss out. Your journey to redefining wealth just got a whole lot easier. Download the app today and let's take this adventure of redefining wealth for ourselves to the next level together. I mean, you've heard of, I'm sure, the ambition penalty that women, face, that concept that the more ambitious you are and the more, successful you become on the negative end of, the concept of diminishing returns. Like at a certain point, just don't do too much because now we going backwards in terms of your relationships, romantic relationships in particular. Was that your first marriage in 2012 or did you remarry the same person? Like what happened?
Remarried the same person. Yeah.
Wow. Let's get into it. So you held that belief. So in 2012, because I noticed you said my husband and you didn't say former husband, ex-husband, anything. So I said, I feel like there's a story right here. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So in 2012 or in the years leading up to and around 2012, a part of your fear of success manifested as if I am more successful, it could cost me my marriage.
Yeah. So the fear for me at that point, because I was at a place in my corporate career that I'd never been before, right? So I was making more money than I'd ever made before. I felt like I was there, right? I was on the path. And so when we went through our divorce, it wasn't the career at that particular time. It wasn't the career. However, when we remarried, right? So I didn't start getting into entrepreneurship until after we remarried. So I wasn't there, but I was still more, I was still career driven and those kind of things. And that was one of the things that he said was very, attractive, right? So when I got into entrepreneurship and I started growing and elevating really, really fast, that's when things started getting rocky after we remarried. Like we started butting heads and there was the conversation around you're always busy. There was a conversation around lack of attention that he felt he was getting because I was so focused and driven. But I'd always been focused and driven. But of course, when you're building your own business, it takes a different level of commitment, right? So I noticed this parallel. And every time I would make more money or hit a different financial milestone in the business, we would butt heads, like something would go wrong. And so subconsciously, it created this belief that my success is causing a problem in my marriage, it's sinking my marriage. And if you're not careful, you'll begin to self-sabotage to save the marriage, right? Or vice versa. And so I had to make a decision that I was going to continue to feel my purpose and whatever happened, happened, right? Like I came to that decision that if my success, if what I'm called to do and my purpose and what I'm called to do is going to cause this marriage to dissolve, then I was willing to allow that to happen. And I knew I had to do that because if I didn't, I knew that I would self-sabotage what I was put on this earth to do.
Oh my gosh. I mean, that is exactly the willing to lose. Like that is it. And it's not that you want to. It's not that, oh, now I'm making money, so I think I'm better than my significant other, or now I'm making money, so you can't tell me nothing, or now my business is blowing up. It's none of those things. But on the flip side, I do also believe, Dr. Shameika, from the ladies that I talk to very often, the sabotage does begin when back to that fear of perception of people, right? Not wanting people to think that that is the thing keeps them choosing to keep going along, to get along without ever being radically honest. And then how do you even get to the marriage that you desire if you're literally just pretending because you don't want people to think your success is the problem? Well, then how do you ever get to what you desire? Are you supposed to just go 10, 20, 30, 40 years and act like it's okay just because?
No, we do have to be radically honest with ourselves. And one of the things that we have to be honest about is what is the ammunition behind our ambition? And when I say that, why am I doing what I'm doing? In a lot of cases, and here's what I found even working with clients, the ammunition behind their ambition is because of a vow that they've made in the past. And when I say vow, how we have those situations where maybe we had a relationship that didn't work out and we said, I'll never do that again. I will never put myself in that situation again. Or, we may have been in a financial situation and we needed some financial support and someone may have held it over our head or exposed our business. And we say, I'll never put myself in that situation again. Right. Mm-hmm. So the vow that you make in a place of pain, if that pain is still driving you, then the ammunition behind your ambition is misaligned because now you're still operating from a pain of the past and not from your purpose. Mm-hmm. You're not moving in your purpose. And so this will cause you to be overzealous. It will cause you to work longer than you have to. It will cause you to push the marriage to the side so that you can, because you're still operating from that pain. So that's one of those places of radical honesty too. We have to be honest about why we're building what we're building, right?
And how we're doing it.
And how we're doing it. Exactly.
Was that not amazing? Listen, I cannot wait for you to come back next week. Now, I don't do this often at all, but we were literally going to talk for about an hour and a half. And I said, this just has to be a part 2. So next week, we're going to get into a conversation around soul level love. Ugh. Don't you just want some of that? Some soul level love. It's going to be so good. Make sure that you connect with Dr. Shamieka Dean, especially on LinkedIn and on Facebook. I know that those are her primary spaces. So go and find her and tell her that you found her on the Redefining Wealth podcast. She is going to bless you. If you are in or thinking about coming to Mastering Momentum, I'm just putting it out there. This is your chance to still complete your application. We are definitely talking about these types of things. These are the types of conversations and the types of women that I surround myself with. And these are the types of women that I pour into. So we are halfway full with our cohort for 2025 Mastery Momentum. And it's this type of conversation, but with the strategy. We're going through authentic leadership principles. We're going through owning everything that we say we desire and making sure that we don't put ourselves in position to sabotage the very thing we say we want. Mastery Momentum, this 9-month container with a 5-day retreat in Hawaii and monthly co-created conversations and some one-on-one calls and all the things, is the premier experience here at Redefining Wealth. And God has just given me such great revelation about what we're going to create. I've watched people launch businesses during their time in Mastery Momentum. I have watched them do 5-figure launches, multiple 5-figure launches. I've watched them go from no book to birthing a book that was in their spirit for years. I've watched so much. I've watched marriages be restored. I've watched women rise in their power in their corporate careers, fundraisers, all the things. Mastery Momentum is the space if you are ready to stop being in spaces where going to your next level is frowned upon. It's not invited. It's not encouraged. It's not celebrated. It's not supported. And you want to do that in the most authentic way possible. This is your space. Join us. MasteryMomentum.com is where you can find the application and more information. Would love to have you there. Again, we're more than 50% full. And when we hit our number, that's it. That is it. We are going to go into 2025 in our wisdom circles, our accountability pods, ready to tackle the year, but with ease and grace and a peace that transcends all understanding. I'm super excited. So join us at Mastery Momentum. Catch Dr. Shameika and I back here next week for part 2. And until then, I want you to go live your life's purpose, find fulfillment, and earn more without ever feeling like you have to chase money. We'll talk to you later.